everybody. We have a picture book today, Hooray for Wadney Wat, and I'm going to be teaching you, this is a reading lesson, on how to make connections. Now we've done some of this year, but I wanted to revisit it and make sure that you're able to make some connections and jot those connections down as you're doing Dear Time. So you guys all have different books that you're reading, but good readers, what they do is they make connections and think deeply about what they're reading. So as you're reading whatever you're reading, Diary of a Wimpy Kid or Warriors, I'm sure that if you use the strategies that I teach you, you're going to be an even better reader. So let's get going. And as I'm reading, I invite you to take out post-it notes or a piece of paper and jot down any connections that you have to this book, and I would love to hear if you could share them with me. So let's get started. Hooray for Wadney Wat. Poor Wadney Wat. His real name was Rodney Rat, but he couldn't pronounce his R's. To make matters worse, he was a rodent, a wodent. "What's your name, Wadney?" asked the other rodents. "Wadney Wat," whispered Wadney. "What's another name for bunny?" they asked knowingly. "Wabbit," he mumbled. "And how does a train travel?" They winked at each other. "A twain twavels on twain twacks," Wadney replied miserably. All of this teasing day in and day out made Wadney the shyest rodent in his elementary school. His squeak could barely be heard in class. He gnawed lunch alone. And while the other rodents scurried and scooted about at recess, Wadney hid inside his jacket. Now, I'm going to stop here and see, does anyone have a connection to the feelings that Rodney must have right now? He's feeling all alone. He's feeling like he doesn't fit in. Has anyone felt this way? If you do, if you've had a similar experience, you could say, text to self, or T-S. The way that Rodney is feeling reminds me of when I was alone, and then you would tell about that time, just briefly, okay? Just to get you thinking about, I am making a connection to this story. As readers make connections to stories, they develop a better sense of understanding and really become better readers. Then, one day as the rodents were taking turns doing wheelies, a new rodent, a very large rodent, barged into the classroom and announced, "My name is Camilla Capybara. I'm bigger than any of you, I'm meaner than any of you, and I'm smarter than any of you." Then she added, "So, there." With that, she accidentally, on purpose, elbowed an ear, bumped two noses, stepped on three tails, and lay down on a desk. Fur prickled in fear through the classroom. She sure was bigger than any of them. She sure looked meaner than any of them. Was she smarter than any of them? If you have any connections, write them down. Have you ever felt maybe intimidated in a situation? When you make a connection, it doesn't have to be that a big capybara bully came to your classroom, because we're not going to probably have that same connection. But say you're on a sports team and there's somebody who's like super good at something and you feel intimidated. That could be a connection, right? It doesn't have to be this exact same scenario, but something kind of similar that feels familiar to you. "What's 2 plus 2? asked Miss Fuzzleworth. "4, shouted Camilla Capybara without even bothering to raise her paw. "And furthermore, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16, and 243 plus 125 is 368. Later, when Miss Fuzzleworth asked, "What's the capital of—" Camilla interrupted. "New York, Albany, population 295,594. And during science, in answer to the question, "What part of a plant is below the ground?" Camilla Capybara danced on her desk and sang, "Root, root, rooty toot toot." Yup, thought all the other rodents. She's smarter than we are too. They felt very, very uncomfortable. Could you make a text-to-self connection here? Have you ever felt like, I'm just not quite, like there's somebody super smart that I'm working with and I feel intimidated? Every afternoon, just before the final recess, Miss Fuzzleworth drew a name from her hat to see who would be the leader for their favorite game, Simon Says. She scrunched her eyes closed and jiggled the hat. Would it be Hairy Hamster, Minnie Feet Mouse, Grizzle Frizz Guinea Pig? Could it be Big, Mean, Smart Camilla Capybara? Miss Fuzzleworth's paw reached in and pulled out the name of Wadney Wat. The bell rang. There was a wild scurry for the door, and Camilla Capybara was the first on the playground, having trampled the others in her path. Oh, I can make a connection to that. Many times when I was young, we would race out to recess, running as fast as we could. That reminds me of those good old days. I don't know if we actually trampled a whole bunch of kids, but I remember sprinting out to that soccer field. To Wadney, she looked especially scary. What would she do when she heard him speak? Breathe capybara breath in his face? Or tie him up in his own tail? Or even pounce on him? Oh dear. The tiny trembling leader of the game stood before the eager players, his head well inside his jacket, and squeaked, "Wadney says weed the sign," while the other rodents read, "P.S. 142 Elementary School for Rodents." Camilla began pulling up weeds around the sign and wildly flinging them hither and yon till she was clear up to her teeth in dirt. The other rodents began to smile. Wadney says, "Wrap your paws around your head." He peeked a little peek out of his jacket and saw, whap, whap, whappity, slappity, whap! Camilla was whapping her paws around her head so hard she became dizzy, gave herself a headache, and had to sit down. The other rodents couldn't help giggling. Can anyone make a connection to maybe a time when either you or somebody else that you saw was kind of acting a little wildly? That would be text to self. This reminds me of when so-and-so was spinning around in circles and bumping into things or something like that. Wadney says, "Play wing around the wosy." Camilla put out her arms like wings and made an airplane noise. But where was the wosy? What was a wosy? By now, Wadney's voice was stronger and his head was entirely out of his jacket. "Wake the leaves!" Nobody moved. Wadney says, "Wake the leaves!" While Hairy, Minnie Feet, and Grizzle Frizz and the others busied themselves raking Camilla Capybara, grabbed one leaf. "Wake up!" she yelled. She snatched another, "Come on, you! Up, up, up!" And another, "Rise and shine!" And another, "Boo!" By now, all the other rodents were squealing with laughter, all but Camilla, who frowned. Stupid leaves, they won't wake up. And why was everyone laughing at her? Such bullies! In a voice so strong he had to hold his own ears, Wadney called, "Wadney says, go west!" The rodents collapsed in a happy heap for a rest. Go west. Camilla Capybara, feeling very smart, that she could tell directions by the sun, said, "All right, I shall go west." And then she added, "So there." West she stomped. Forever she was gone. And from that day on, the pupils of PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents never teased Wadney again. He was their hero. "Hooray for Wadney Wat," they cried. "Woot, woot, wooty toot toot." All right, so this book, can anybody make a connection on maybe when the underdog, Wadney Wat, maybe in your life something like that happened when you may have been the underdog and you came on top. You came out on top, or you know of a situation like that. So that's the lesson today. I would love for you to apply this in your own reading during Dear Time. Now remember, you guys, you do not have to be reading a chapter book. You could be reading picture books that you might have. You can read comics. You can read nonfiction books. But I would like you to try to make connections as you're reading. And this lesson was on making text to self connections. All right, good luck. Have fun.